All right. Welcome back for another episode of the Fleet Success Show with your hosts, Josh Turley, Tony Yankovich, Marc Canton.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah. I actually thought about this the last episode we recorded. I don't know if I know how to pronounce your last name. And I bounced between Yankovich and Yankovich.
It's Yankovich.
All right.
Right.
Let the record show it's Yankovich.
Right. The spelling is supposed to be Y-A-N-K-V-I-C.
Yeah.
However, my grandfather added the H to Americanize it so people would pronounce it correctly.
All right. What? Weird Al.
He
took the H off, didn't he?
His father took the H off. Well, left the H off.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's why they call him Weird Al Yankovic most of the time, but it's Weird Al Yankovich.
It's pronounced with it. Okay. Tell you, man.
Stuff.
Things you learn.
Good fleet information.
Well, so we're still doing Spirit Week this week. We're representing our team colors.
Yeah.
You know, Mark with the New York Yankees.
Repeat.
I'm a little sad, like you're not a Mets fan, but at least you picked the winning team. So, represent KC Royal Blue. Then I don't have any sportswear in my entire arsenal. I'm embarrassed to be a Suns fan because they don't know how to build a winning team. I know you got your theories on that. That's the KD, disruption theory.
Yep.
And ASU is just, they're now the most penalized school in NCAA history.
Right. Wow.
Which is insane for a program that's never won anything. So just goes to show cheating never wins. Cheaters never prosper. So I'm doing my Baja representation, representing the Ford Performance Racing. So, but I wanted to talk about Spirit Week today.
All right.
And, I know for me, I don't even remember when we started it, but Mark, this is now your fourth Spirit Week officially. Tony, this is your second.
Yes.
Right. But so I wanted to talk about, some of the things we do and why we do it, what some of your favorite parts are of Spirit Week. And, so for our listeners, if you haven't heard of this before or something we do, if you remember back when you were in high school, we talk a lot about, Spirit Week in high school where you can get like school spirit and everybody rallies together and there's rallies and pep assemblies and everybody's wearing their school colors. And I don't remember when we came up with the idea. It was several years ago. And we realized we wanted to inject a little bit of fun, right, and be intentional. We talk about intentional culture. This is us being intentional. And try to, really liven up the atmosphere and give some of that school spirit type vibe for the company.
Right.
And so that's what we did. And we do all the same things, back then, like you'd have like pajama days and all those different things. Well, we did the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So
which is cool.
Every day has a different theme. We come into work dressed up differently. And then, throughout the week, we have a bunch of different games and, contests just to kind of inject everything. And then the other side of it is, most of our employees are here in the Phoenix office. But I want to say we've got about, 8 or 10 that are out of country and then another 10 or so that are out of state across the country.
Right.
And so we fly in everybody. And everybody that can be here is here in the office. We block out PTO wherever possible. We don't, schedule client trips. We don't, we try to avoid trade shows and things like that. That way everybody can be here because we really want to have everybody kind of reconnect with the mothership, so to speak.
Right.
So with all of that backdrop, what have been some of your favorite moments or some of your favorite traditions that we do in Spirit Week? What do you guys get out of it?
Well, I think most of our audience knows, right? I used to be one of the remote employees and now I'm here. So this is my first time as an in-office employee. And I will say, and it's what you just talked about, like that, just that part of it to me is really special, right? Getting all the remote folks in here. Yeah. I remember it on both sides now. So like, I love getting out here. I love connecting with the group, just as great as Zoom is. And I'm a big believer in that technology and it can be very efficient. It doesn't replace a handshake. It doesn't replace a face-to-face meeting and the side, so that's great. And now I'm on this side of it and I love having all the remote folks come in and being with them. And it almost feels like a family reunion. Yeah. It's like the whole team is together finally again. Like, where you been all these years? Even though you talk to them every day, feels like in the moment that you see them, it's like, I haven't seen you in forever kind of a thing, So I like that. There's a lot of great traditions, but I'll be honest, and this probably won't surprise anyone who looks at me. My favorite tradition is lunch. Right? So Josh does not hold out for lunch. Okay, he cooks a day, someone else will cook a day. We'll have it catered. Friday we usually do a potluck. And lunch is just spectacular. Like you shouldn't eat that well at work.
No.
And maybe that's not good. You get the
Right.
the itis after lunch too. But I'll be honest, and we do a lot of fun stuff. I don't, and I can go on for long, but lunch is definitely my favorite of the traditions. We really go all out. We make it like, for those of you who are like me who maybe have a Mediterranean background, or maybe some other cultures do the same thing, where there's this, there's Sunday dinner, and Sunday dinner actually happens at lunch. Yeah. And it's everybody better be there. I don't care what you got going, what's going on with work.
Clear your calendar.
Clear your calendar.
Right.
You're there, and we're eating like kings and queens that day, right? And that's what lunch feels like. So that's my favorite part.
I would agree. The time that we spend at lunch, I try to make a point every day to sit with a different group of people.
Yeah.
Just because I don't have a chance to meet and talk with a lot of the different teams. I interact with several teams, but not all of them. So it's a great opportunity to get to know people and to really get to know what they like, what they don't like, and their personality. On a Zoom call, you don't really understand their personality, but sitting around after lunch, after we've eaten Josh's barbecue or Argentinian barbecue today, like Facundo,
that was fantastic.
Made, that was awesome. Second to Kansas City barbecue, but that's okay. No, but it was great. And I think, having the theme days, it really brings us together as a group, because it's like everyone does it. It's not like, half the group does it. Everyone does it, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I look, folks have heard it before, hungry, humble, smart, right? Well, we do these little competitions, as Josh talked about, and over the years it's changed. We have a little, mini basketball shooting thing. That was always a very popular one, and ping pong.
Which I think was happening today.
Yeah, that's happening today, yeah.
Before that, so.
And cornhole's fun, man.
Cornhole around here has like a whole subculture.
Yes, it does.
It is a permanent part of Spirit Week.
Yeah.
And it gets crazy. This year we brought them because we used to be all in the back in the training area. And I always felt like it was kind of removed, right? Like you go back in there, do your game, nobody would know what happened, right? And then this year we're like, well, what if we just bring all the cornholes out, right? And yeah, it's a little bit noisy and it probably disrupts the flow of regular business. I know Shauna was like trying to do a demo and she's walking into the other room, and hiding herself in the closet. But it was really cool, like, and you just hear the chatter and the banter back and forth. Like they don't go light on each other.
Yep.
Everybody wants to win because we have this competitive spirit.
We do. We really do.
But yeah, cornhole and mini basketball. And I interrupted your thought.
Well, no, I mean, it's not like, I know for some people, cornhole is like an every weekend thing. Like it's very Americana. I love it, right? And I love it. I wish I could play it that much. But I don't really play very often, a couple times a year, And I find myself, I'm a game or two into it, and I'm like, yeah, this is fun, man, You get a little smack talk like you're talking. One of our best players is Dallin, and people have probably seen him in some of our videos, and he happens to be really good, right? So they're up in our first round, and he's like talking smack, and he's, oh, we got this. And I'm like, remember, hungry, humble, smart. I don't know if you can be humble about it. And I had played horribly. Well, sometimes the good Lord takes a liking to you. I dropped 3 holes on the last round. We come back, we beat them, and we send them to the losers bracket. And the whole area of the building is going, yeah, it's crazy.
So it took down the king.
Yeah, it's like we won the World Series or something like that. So, there's just something really neat about that, and like you said, there are certain things, we're all so different, and yet we obviously have certain things in common. And it's one of the things that struck me while this was going on, like, check us out, man. We really are. We got a competitive streak in us, and we're not bashful about that.
No, we definitely want to win.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the nice thing, Mark and Josh, is the way it's developed around a team. It's not individual against individual. It's teams against other teams. So you build this camaraderie with people, and they purposely put people on a team that you're not working with on a daily basis.
Right.
It's awesome. I'll be sitting over there at my desk and hear a cheer go up or hear somebody, trash talking. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Did either of you do the escape room today?
Yes.
I didn't get to do it yet.
Oh, man. All right. Well, we'll have to see if we can get you in there.
All right.
I'm not going to ruin the password now. I totally would have said it out in the air.
I should have lied then.
You would have been like, 5 minutes, we're done. That was a fun addition.
Yeah, that's
again, the same competitive, but like the intelligence.
Yeah.
Like seeing the teams and the collaboration. And like, it's really what we're building here. Is really fun. Like we've got a puzzle, we're trying to solve it, in real life.
Right.
And how do we make all these things work together? And, oh, you've got something over here that I can use here, right? And just the teamwork is a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
But it's fun. Is like we don't stop innovating. Every year we try to figure out, well, what's something new we can add, or what's a wrinkle? How do we make this better?
Right.
And every year we're trying to one up ourselves from the year prior.
Yeah, and we're talking about Spirit Week, right? And like I've
The most pointless of all.
Yeah, right. And I'm hearing conversations and like, and Josh will get into it, folks. Don't let him fool you. He'll like, no, I don't like that idea. We're going to do this. It's important. It's important.
The most important thing is the food to me, though.
Yeah.
Right. So like we'll have a bad meal, and I'm like, okay, that's
not coming back next year.
Let's go. Like, come on, don't skimp. Like, let's we're gonna eat well. You mentioned like the barbecue, and I don't know if I'm gonna keep doing that, but every year I try to do something new. This year I did tri-tip and chicken. Over salted, weigh everything. It was Texas style barbecue, right? Like tried to go in Texas instead of Kansas City, and that was my mistake. No offense to everybody out in Texas, but flip that up.
So a quick story on that. I came in the day Josh was responsible for lunch, and like around 10:30 rolled around, and you're not in your office, and I can't find you anywhere, and I go to your assistant Debbie. I go, is Josh doing lunch today? Yes. I go, yes.
Exactly.
I was pumped.
Yeah, awesome. I had a lot of fun. Although I will tell you, Facundo came in, and those who don't know, he's got a really proud Argentinian streak, very, very, connected to that heritage. He did Argentinian asado today.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic, right? Like and he homemade the chimichurri. And,
the chimichurri was good.
I put some of that on that sausage, the Argentinian sausage, and it was so good.
Yeah.
It was just, all of it was excellent.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow's potluck, and potluck is always a fun, like people say, it's a mixed bag. I'm like, not around here, it ain't.
No, because
people know how to cook,
right?
They know how to cook.
And there'll be way too much food we can eat for all of next week, usually.
They're still trying to find signups for tomorrow, and I'm like, hey, don't you worry about that. But yeah, the food definitely, because like people come together over food, and it's been pretty awesome. So, and I'll never forget, last year you told me like, hey, this is just as good as anything I had in Kansas City.
It was awesome.
I still don't believe it, but
it was great.
It was really fun to be able to do that and give something that I enjoy doing for my family and extend that to you guys, right? Is one of my favorite things.
At this point, you've made it hard on yourself, though, because
that expectation.
There's an expectation letter for you at food right now.
Well, and that was just it. I thought about this, earlier this week. If I saw my Facebook post, I was like, all right, guys, I need a little bit of like loaves and fishes miracle here. I don't think I've got enough food, and like my little smoker, I can only, I could probably get 9 tri-tip in there. I did 6. But I was looking at it, I was like, this is the first time I've had to do 60 because we're growing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And last year it was 40-ish, and I had no problem with that. Year prior to that, it was like a little bit of 30, right? But we're growing every single year. And next year, I don't even know what that's going to look like, right? And, they're going to have the 70, 80 people in here. I'm like, I'm going to have to start smoking the week prior and try to figure out how to reheat all this stuff. Maybe I'll sous vide it or something.
Yeah. People don't appreciate it. It's a lot harder to cook for as you get bigger like that. It's hard to really.
You know what it is? I'm gonna have to delegate, and I'm gonna see if anybody else has smokers.
Oh, they
be like, hey, all right, here's the here's the meat. It's all prepped.
Right.
Just throw it in. This is what I need.
Right. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Or I'm just gonna have to buy more smokers. All right.
I got to tell you which one I'm betting on.
Right.
Knowing you.
I think
I don't need more smokers. I ain't got no room for it. We'll just throw one here at the office, and we'll just
smoke it
all morning.
There we go.
So one of the things I wanted to do though was, talk about intentional culture and fleet. And here's something, this is an artifact of culture is what we call these, right? Spirit Week. How would you go out and implement something like this? If you were running a fleet today, how would you incorporate Spirit Week? Obviously we still meet and we still make sure that we're getting our job done. How would you do that in a fleet management shop?
Well, I think similar concepts. So a lot of organizations that we help, they'll have holiday lunches, but bring in that concept of bringing in lunch once a month to the shop. I think that's an important way to do it. I've worked with a fleet out in the state of Washington where they actually put, I think I mentioned this before, but put tape on the shop floor and made a pickleball court in the shop floor.
Nice. And
they shut down for one afternoon a month and they play pickleball as a group. And so it's just bringing the team together, everyone, trash talking and just having a great time and being competitive. There's a lot of things that people can do like that within the shop.
Yeah. We've seen things like people back in food trucks, into the bays and stuff like that. And of course, the almighty American barbecue, right? We've plenty of shops got grills on the outside and it's funny. We'll go visit a shop and you can tell, has that grill been used? Mm-hmm. Or is it just sitting there?
Super shiny.
Yeah. Exactly. And when it's been used, there seems to be this correlation, right? That, hey, there's a good vibe here. There's a generally positive attitude. People are happy to be there.
Yeah.
I think our fleet brethren could take, it's kind of like connected to this is there's this concept of rallying around the cause, right? And that's sort of built into this somehow, right? Like obviously we have our values, we have our vision, we have our mission, and this is kind of a fun expression of the camaraderie around it. But that is what kind of draws this group of people together, right? And so that's something I think about a lot, right? How do you kind of, that's got to be there too, because if it's not there, anybody could go to a barbecue or go to a party or go have some fun, I think if I could call this out, like obviously all of the various segments have their strengths and weaknesses, but you find certain trends in different segments, right? One of the trends I find in the school bus world is more often than not, there's this deep-rooted sense of responsibility to the community in the well-run school bus shops, right? Like there's this they get it that like, hey, I got kids' lives on the line here, right? And that is enough, and when I say it enough, I don't mean to underplay it, but that's the thing that, the leaders of those groups who really have well-run shop, they rally around that.
They've tapped into the purpose. They made it really clear.
Right.
Everybody understands what it is, right? What are we doing here?
Exactly.
And I think that's part of it. Is you have to have a common goal as an organization, as that shop. They need to have a common goal, whether it be technician productivity, whether it be days without an accident, days without an incident, fleet availability numbers, hitting their targets. But I think it's really important that everyone be on the same page. Everyone understand what the goal is, and then as a team work towards that.
Yeah. Yeah, and then this is kind of fun stuff. Like, I don't know about everyone else, but I think most of our company sees Spirit Week as a reward, right? And that not necessarily is your intention. I think your intention is, no, let's get together, let's
spend time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's so cool, and it's so fun, and it's so different that you feel like it's a reward. And I think the reason for that is then when you go and you're talking to your spouse or you're talking to your buddies or whatever it may be, or what did you do this week, right? And I was at my company had our Spirit Week, and you just start talking, and it's like, wait a minute, you played cornhole at work, right?
You get paid to play cornhole.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it just creates this sense of pride, this sense of feeling fortunate, which we all are, right? And so it's I think this works great, and I think it's a wonderful tool. But I think you need the two, right? Yep. If you don't have the rallying clause, you can run a bunch of events and, people might enjoy it, but there's not going to be this sense of attachment to it and anticipation for it. And like, this is a thing. People here get that. This is a thing here. This is what we do. And so, you kind of need that balance. And I think it's because we have those common goals and those common values that it works so well.
Well, and we work hard, right? You were just at a session. They work hard, play hard.
Right.
Right. And I love that we work hard, but we don't take ourselves so seriously that we're not willing to, do a ping pong tournament or, do a little mini basketball shootout or something like that, right? And I'll admit, as a leader, and obviously we've got customers who listen to this and things like that, but I'm self-conscious of it, and I'm like, what's the appearance that, how does this look to our customers? They're like, oh, you guys are just playing cornhole all day.
Right.
Meanwhile, my shop is down, right? Like, that's the kind of stuff I worry about, but I never have to do anything. Because as soon as something happens, it's like, we might be in Spirit Week, but everybody knows the number one job, right? And we rally back together. We're like, let's go take care of this and get it taken care of. Okay, now back to cornhole, right? Like, we know what the priorities are.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to see how people make those judgment calls throughout the day, and yet we still have a ton of fun.
Right.
It still gets, it's really fun to just to see everybody kind of let loose a little bit.
Right.
But still getting the job done.
Right.
And I think that's an amazing thing about our culture. But I think about, like on the shop floor, you talked about, they took tape and mapped out a pickleball court, and they do that monthly, right? And I wonder if, could they, do what we do here where we're still getting our work done, but could they do something for an entire week straight? And I'll tell you, by Thursday or Friday, I think we're all kind of like, okay.
Right.
That's still going.
Right.
So doing it every month, we do a staff meeting every month. We bring in lunch, but we don't necessarily have the game element, and I'm actually getting ideas as I'm talking to you guys.
Okay.
I'm like, that would be really cool. Ooh, that, like it never stops. But I'm wondering, like we have that little mini basketball hoop. It's literally like pop a shot. We bought it on Amazon for maybe $100 or something.
Sweet.
And I just think like any shop could do that. Right?
Yeah.
And just,
It doesn't take up much space.
yeah, we would call each other out. Be like, hey, Mark, let's go.
Yeah.
Like I didn't like what you said in the meeting, basketball.
Right.
That's right.
Or you just build some of that. I've seen guys, I walk in there and they're sitting there playing ping pong.
Yep.
But I think other companies, other cultures, the CEO walks in, it's like, oh shoot,
Stop.
Right.
stop, get back.
I'm working.
Right, and they're sitting there. I'll come over and like, all right, who's winning?
Yeah.
Right, and and I'll watch for a little bit and cheer them on. Or like, oh, that was a nice shot. Right, I suck at ping pong, so I never try to get in. I just don't even need to embarrass myself like that. But basketball, I'll take on anybody. I am not a good cornhole person. That's I let Tony down the other day. I think, or maybe it was you. I don't remember whose team I was.
I was going against you.
Yeah, that's right. I had the best game I've ever had.
Right.
And you skunked me. Like you had every single. I'd throw it in the hole.
Yeah,
and
you
Tony would.
actually played well.
I was on it, and
Tony's very good, folks.
he was just better. Right? He's a Kansas City guy.
Yeah.
Something about
A lot of college pitcher over here.
Oh, so that's true too.
I don't know. He makes me feel like he plays every weekend when I play here.
Well, Josh, one of the other things that I don't know if you as the president and CEO of the company realize is how it impacts the family.
Yeah.
So, when I'm packing and getting ready to come out to Spirit Week, my whole family's involved there. All right, Dad, what is your superhero shirt going to be?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, don't take the Royals shirt. Take the Chiefs shirt, for your favorite team's day. And so the family gets in it. And then every night when I'm talking to my wife on the phone or the kids, it's like, okay, how'd you do? What'd you play today? And so it really goes beyond just the employee.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that you say that, but it's the same. My wife is into she wants to know what are the themes and it's like, what? It's just, you don't need another excuse to go shopping, sweetheart.
Oh, yes, she does. Well, if you are, and hopefully you are if you're listening to this, but, I'd encourage you to take that time to think about what can you do to intentionally help reinforce culture, to help reward your team,
Right.
But to just build those relationships between all of your employees, right? And this we'll have a goodwill week this week. I think the other week that's really big for us is obviously Connect, right? When we get everybody together. We don't bring the entire company out for that though, right? But we get a lift, like I'll call it an emotional lift.
Yeah.
But that's what we get from Spirit Week, I feel like, is this emotional lift that we'll talk about it. And, I can't remember who won last year, but we do know that Dallon's won a few times.
Yes.
And Edic's won a few times.
And
they get a reputation, right? And we razz them about that,
Yep.
and it just builds this thing that we kind of refer back to all year long.
Right.
And it is unique. I wish more people would do it because it's, it's like, really? Like in high school? Yeah, like in high school.
Yeah, like in high school.
Feels
But
a
better
little
because there's
immature,
more
but-
cornhole.
Right.
Exactly. Right? I never did cornhole. We didn't do. Actually, come to think of it, those pep assemblies were kind of boring.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely much better. But
I want to just connect an important dot here.
Yeah.
I think you're implying it, and I think we're all kind of, but in the world we're living in right now, where retention is just a serious issue, recruitment's a serious issue, right?
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I know that the almighty dollar is important, and I'm not, but people do cling to this when you feel part of something, you feel like you enjoy work, you feel, I think most people, understand, and everybody wants to make more money, right? That's never going away.
Correct.
But most people don't jump ship for $1, right? They may tell you that in an exit interview because they needed something to tell you, and maybe they didn't want to tell you to your face they didn't like you very much, or the culture was bad, or too many of the other folks around them they thought were, negative attitudes or something like that. But I think that's so important to understand, like that there's an underlying thing here. And again, I'm not sure. You'd have to tell us. I mean, I don't know that you did this specifically for retention, but you certainly did it to build team camaraderie and understanding that when you have that level of engagement with your employees, it's certainly going to help retention. And then we go out and tell the world, like we're doing right now,
Right.
what a cool place RTA is.
Yep.
And, we're hiring, we're growing, as you mentioned, and everybody I'm interviewing, it's the same thing. Well, I've heard about what you guys got going on over there, or I saw so-and-so speak, because you oftentimes do. And this intentional culture thing, tell me more about it,
It's for real? Somebody asked me that the other day. Are you for real? I'm not for fakes. But I do think, and it's, what are the intentional things that you do? I called it artifacts of culture. What are the things that you do that showcase your culture and show that your team, that you really care about them? And, that really reinforce the bonds of teamwork, right? Like, we call it like a band of brothers type approach, but why? It's because they had a shared experience that they bonded over.
Right.
And that Spirit Week kind of gives us permission to bond with each other and have those relationships. And it's something dumb like cornhole or basketball, right? But, it's about having the permission and having that type of environment that you feel like, oh, I can let loose a little bit.
Yeah.
So as fleet managers, I just challenge you because they won't leave for $1, right?
Right.
Hopefully they won't leave for $2.
Right.
If it's $10, I actually talked about this a few years ago, was, yes, you got to be in the ballpark.
Right.
But the little things make the difference, right? It's the thank you notes. It's the, the one-on-ones. It's things like that, right? But it's things like Spirit Week,
right.
Now, if we just did Spirit Week and we didn't do all the rest of the stuff, it probably wouldn't make as big of a difference.
Right. It wouldn't really quite
feel empty.
Right.
But because we do all those other things, it just makes Spirit Week that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. Well, I think we're about out of time. I want to thank you guys both for coming in. I love having you guys both in town and here, Spirit Week. Hopefully you don't lose too bad at basketball this afternoon. And if you can, get in for that escape room. It was a ton of fun. So,
all right. Cool.
Well, Josh, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, until next time.
So, bye, everybody.
See you.